Hey, welcome to this week's Stream Squad. Why was that so hard for me to say?
It's been a crazy day.
Yeah, it's been a crazy day. I was going to say morning, but it's not morning here. Angela, how about you take over?
Sure.
Live video is fun.
So as Nick said, welcome to Stream Squad. As usual, Angela, Whitney, Nick, and Dan is behind the camera.
You guys switched places on me, called the audible right at the last second.
Hey, Jimmy, can we get you to pop on? We've got someone else behind the
Hey,
scenes
some
today.
of y'all might recognize him.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, Jimmy was with us a while ago, right?
He's still helping out.
Yeah, he's still helping out, doing cool stuff. Jimmy's here, he's helping shoot some extra video for us.
Thanks, Jimmy.
No problem.
So we've got some fun topics for you guys this week. The first one for our industry news is building off what we were talking about last week. So last week we announced that Facebook Live had done a slight redesign. So now instead of just going live to your timeline or to a page, you can go live to your stories. Well, since then they've done another redesign. Now you're going to be able to go live to both your timeline and to your story at the same time. So you don't have to pick and choose. You can just automatically go live to both.
So yeah, Facebook is putting live video everywhere in their products. It's in the camera app if you swipe across the screen. And at the top of the Facebook app, if you're going to make a comment or add a photo, there's a live video option. And it's in that screen where you now have the ability to stream to your timeline and your stories at the same time. So really cool to see that open up. Facebook Stories is not available via the API yet, so that's not something you can do with Switcher. If you want to stream to your stories, you will have to use the native Facebook app. But we're friends with those guys, so we'll put in a note and keep you posted.
Okay, our next topic. A lot of people out there are using Switcher to make podcasts, and everyone knows it's really hard normally to share podcasts. All it is a link where you just post the link and you have to hope people actually click on it. There's a company called Anchor, which we want to different from the battery company we're normally recommending.
Anchor.
However they pronounce it.
Yeah.
We still haven't figured that out.
Anchor, the battery Anchor is Anker, and you can go search them on Amazon and lots of other places online, and they have really great products. That was started by some former Google employees, and they have some of the best mobile portable batteries on the market. The app we're talking about today is Anchor, that's spelled correctly.
Like a fishing anchor.
And actually I think that's their icon or their logo,
Yeah.
and it's a product for making podcasts. And they have a new update that does live annotations. So as you're talking, as you're creating your podcast, it shows the words on screen. And it allows you to save that as a video afterwards. So you see the real-time titles. You don't have to be on camera. It's just the text only.
It reminds me very much of the Apple Clips.
Yes.
The look and feel of the whole thing reminds me a lot of Apple Clips. So I think they're probably definitely pulling a little inspiration from there.
They've got the fun gradient backgrounds, like you're seeing on some of the text-only Facebook posts. So it looks very similar to some of those.
So it makes the podcast visual without it being, people on camera video podcast type situation. It's more the Facebook post video kind of thing. So.
So there's a lot of podcasts that live in iTunes or in Apple's podcast
or in their different
section.
distribution
Or
networks.
if you're using SoundCloud or Libsyn, there's a ton of different platforms specific for podcasting, but they're really hard to share. There's not a YouTube for podcasts per se, but being able to take your podcast and share it on YouTube and Facebook and as a video on a lot of these other platforms should hopefully help with that sharing piece. So I think it was a really smart move by Anchor, and if you're into podcast, maybe something to check out.
Yeah, and they make it easy to share too for different platforms. Different platforms need a different style of video, different length of video. So as you're exporting it, if you're going to put this on YouTube, you can do a 16:9. If you want to do Instagram, you can export a square video, and you can actually trim it to the length you need. So Instagram caps at 59 seconds. You can take out a 59-second chunk and just do that. So that way you're not stuck with one format that you have to mold to the other platforms. You can do an individual video for each platform for the best results.
It's also interesting to see Facebook double down on audio. Within that live video function in the Facebook app, there is a tab where you can switch to audio, and it'll show the waveform, and it will save it to your timeline, where you can start doing podcasting or audio-only streams on Facebook. So this might be the year of audio and podcasting for the internet.
Yeah,
It's been around for a long time. but-
Okay, and our last topic for industry news is on the new Apple Watch. So for the past couple of weeks, we've been teasing rumors and demos that have come out from this year's Apple products. We're about 2 or 3 weeks, I think, from Apple's keynote where they'll actually announce what is coming out. So we're excited about that. But they've announced this week that the Apple Watch 3 will no longer have to be tethered to an iPhone. It's going to have a data plan you can use for it. So if you're, for example, going running, want to listen to Spotify, but don't want to take your phone with you, you can just have the watch now. So that's going to be really cool to have as an update.
I've also seen, I don't know if this is confirmed, but there's rumors that Apple and Aetna, the health provider, are working on a partnership where some of the health pieces
Data, health
and data
tracking. Yeah.
can tie into your insurance. So maybe that makes it more affordable for
Yeah.
people having
Well,
data
and
at that
And
scale.
that's something that's already been implemented on different scales with the different activity trackers and everything. So it's something that they've already been doing.
And some businesses have wellness programs and
built
like, that's
in
one
through
of
their
incentives,
insurance
so.
companies. Yeah. So this, I think, is just bringing it another layer of complexity and integrating it with the Apple Watch.
Yeah. And to be a little punny, there's also some Facebook news about a Facebook Watch, but Facebook's not making a physical watch. Facebook is launching a platform for watching videos where you can build playlists and follow creators, and I think initially they're being a little selective about the content and programming that's going to be there.
I think they have 30 original TV shows that they're launching with.
Yeah.
They're working with
Facebook
some
Watch.
studios and groups like
Yes.
BuzzFeed to produce content for this.
Yeah.
So Facebook Watch should make video on Facebook a much more enjoyable experience, a little easier to get to, navigate, and build your own playlists for things that you like and follow, where it's not just autoplay for whatever's next in your timeline, which should be pretty cool. And then Dan, I think you had a meme we wanted to show. We were talking about Apple News. There's been rumors that there's no home button on the new iPhone, that maybe it's buried behind the screen or there's facial recognition to be able to access it. So Dan actually found some news where there might be a home button for the new iPhone 8 as an accessory.
Yeah,
Dun,
there you
dun,
go.
dun.
new iPhone 8 button.
So
just
this
got
this
leaked.
is
not real.
not real. Full disclaimer, not real. But yeah, that's totally Apple's game. Sell some adapters and maybe we can keep the home button alive.
Yeah.
All right, so Angel, what do we got next?
So next we have our strategy piece, and that's going to be going over storage on iOS devices. Dan, I think, were you going to take this one, or?
I mean, I could talk a little bit about it. This was something that came up in our user group, just talking about storage and how to deal with stuff. And I can definitely talk about it as far as Switcher Studio is concerned, especially. Some posted one of the SanDisk little dongles, I guess, that you can plug into
External storage.
Yeah, it's just external storage. That's really loud right outside our door. There's a firehouse like right behind our office. So sorry about that. But yeah, what I understand or what I know is that those are great for storing stuff on, but you can't write to them immediately. So you couldn't say, okay, I'm out of storage on my phone. I'm still going to run Switcher. I'm going to plug it in, and I'm just going to use that. It's not going to work that way. You could take all those files that are slowing your phone down or making so you can't use Switcher and throw them onto that little thing and do it that way.
So it's good for moving files.
It's good
around.
for moving files around, but it's not great for, like a solution to store extra video on or live video on as you're going.
If you have a 16 gig phone and you're out of space, don't expect to use external storage and immediately have more space.
Yeah. Now, I mean, and the other thing I've noticed is how many of you guys, I mean, we all have iPhones, right? How many of you actually use your iCloud and use it correctly? Does anybody?
I don't I think I have like whatever comes with your iCloud account, and then I never expanded.
Well, I mean, that's what I have too.
Yeah.
And
There's a certain amount you get for free.
it's
and
like it's 5 gigs.
when I go to update my phone or switch out, like I think it's been 2 years since my iCloud's been updated because it's just maxed out. Like can't even transfer phone numbers because I don't pay attention to it.
The
Yeah.
only thing that I link to my iCloud account is my contacts. Like that's the only thing that I put in there because I know that that's the only thing that matters when I go to switch
Right.
phones.
Well, there's
Yeah.
also a weird bug introduced with iCloud and Switcher. If you're doing images with transparencies or PNGs,
Yeah,
if you
it-
run it through iClouds, it breaks the
It breaks the
transparency.
Yeah,
transparency,
yeah.
which is
You'll have a full
annoying
white
as all get out.
background when you go to bring that into Switcher. So now we have Google Drive and Dropbox support, and
But
Yeah.
Google Drive is what I use when I'm run out of storage on my phone. I have Google Drive on my phone, and then I just transfer everything to that.
Yeah,
so
I-
it works the
Yeah.
same.
I mean,
as
I don't
iCloud,
know.
really.
I don't understand. My iCloud is full. I don't know what's on it. I just don't use it. But what I found, like, I mean, and like Nick was saying, it's tough because, especially with Switcher Studio, when you're using the iCloud, it's going to break those PNGs and whatnot. And that's why I'm always recommending Dropbox or Google Drive for external storage. Another cool thing that we do for these productions and for other things that I do is you can use iTunes to move stuff around with Switcher Studio. I don't know if that's the same for all devices. I don't think so. Or all, not devices, but all apps. But with Switcher, you can go in and choose the app and you can move files around. And that's what I do. So like my computer here that I use, the laptop that you're seeing on screen, that's pretty low on space as well. So I just plug in an external hard drive, plug in the thing through iTunes, drag and drop them all that
So-
way.
Dan, tell me if I'm putting you on the spot, but do you have iTunes where we can see this real
Here,
quick?
let me
Just show people where
just.
to look.
I'm gonna put you guys up just in case I like show something that.
So with Switcher, if you connect your iPhone or iPad to your computer and open iTunes, the Switcher app
Okay.
is going to show up like an external drive, and you can navigate to the Switcher app inside of iTunes to see all the files that are there. So if you have videos that you want to copy off or move to your computer.
Should we do a quick rundown here?
That would be awesome. And if you're bringing in photos or pre-recorded videos, you can actually drag those into Switcher from your computer now. So without getting into external storage or Google Drive or Dropbox or iCloud, you can actually just drag and drop from your desktop with.
And
with
please
this workflow.
excuse my music selection that you see when I'll first go here. Nick and I used to DJ, so
we own all the
there's-
terrible songs.
There's, I mean, not all of them are terrible, but I mean, yeah.
Real quick, Dan, when you go over this, the part where you scroll down the screen,
Yep, absolutely.
there's a weird
Yeah.
like it's just a terrible UI decision
So
in iTunes.
so here's a trick with Switcher. As like I'm gonna go full screen with this instead of having the picture in picture. Let me also move these away there. So now you should be able to see my iTunes here on screen. So if you're using Switcher and you want to do that, up here is the icon. So I've got this iPad that we're actually running Switcher off of right now. If I choose that, now I'm going to tap on this app here. Now here's where it gets tricky to get to it. See, I can try and scroll down and it's like, oh my gosh, it doesn't work. Where is it? You have to be like on the side here. And if you scroll all the way down, you'll see under apps here, there's Switcher. So I'm going to click on Switcher. And this gives me access to everything that's in there. So like all the, like what's actually probably being recorded right now. So I don't want to mess with stuff too much, but I can drag and drop files into here. They'll end up in Switcher on the iPad. Or I could take those files off and put them somewhere else. So what I do when I'm doing, let me do this. So when I'm doing a director mode recording or something like we're doing here, what I'll do is I'll take all these other devices and I will plug them into my iTunes, put all those files onto a hard drive, an external hard drive, and then plug in this one here that is the main Switcher, and then you don't have to compile everything. It's going to show up there automatically. That's probably confusing if you're watching this and you don't use Switcher Studio, but for those of you who do use Switcher Studio, that's a pretty good tip to move files around inside of Switcher.
And for anyone curious about the, compiling on one device for director mode using the iTunes switch, there is a guide on our help center that'll actually walk you through that step by step. I know the first time you do it can be a little confusing. After that, it's definitely a time saver. So make sure to go to switcherstudio.com, just click on help center at the top, and there's going to be a guide in there that'll show you how to move your files over and then how to compose just using that one iPad.
And somebody in our comments, Dana, says, I use iPlugMate to back up videos. I haven't heard of that. Have you all heard of iPlugMate?
I've heard of the name, but I've never used it.
Well, that's just another option, maybe something
Yeah.
we need to explore too.
Yeah, we should probably look into
Take a
that.
look at it.
Just some other things from the comments here. Jat says, hey.
Hi.
Howdy.
Who else is in the comments? Marlee is here. She says, hi, Angela.
Hey, what's up?
And yeah, so just a couple comments there.
Real quick on this process of dragging and dropping files. You'll want to do that before or after your production. I would not recommend loading files on and off while you're in the middle of a switcher stream or recording.
I just saw a comment come through asking that if you can. I don't know. I haven't messed with it. I wouldn't try it.
Yeah. I would say definitely wait till you're done. Wait till you're, back at your office or something, and then move all the footage over.
Cool. Well, that's all I've got for as far as storage here. Just to recap a little bit, the SanDisk stuff, the external drives are great for just additional storage or stuff that doesn't need to be on the phone all the time, but you can't write to them immediately. Google Drive and Dropbox are awesome. And use iTunes if you're using Switcher and need to move things around quickly.
Awesome.
All right, so
good.
what's next?
So next is our user group happening. So for anyone that's your first time tuning in, we do have a online community for Switcher Studio. Just search Switcher Studio Enthusiasts. You're able to join the group. Just hit the join button. There's going to be a short survey to fill out, the links in the description, and then you'll be entered into the group where you can share tips, tricks, and ask questions.
And we're making this easier.
Yes,
There's some
we
changes
are
to the,
gonna-
dashboard.
We're going to make this a little bit easier, so keep an eye out for that. A little less complicated. We did just hit 600 members this week, so we're very excited about that. But we like to bring, each week a topic that was prevalent in the user group just to discuss with you guys on Stream Squad. And this week it's going to be the difference between RLCC and RTSP. And I think Nick's taking this one.
Yeah, some of you guys probably don't know exactly, or RTSP, but you haven't heard of RLCC yet.
And this is getting a little nerdy, but
Yeah.
so one of the great things about Switcher is it's easy to do multi-camera setups with iPhones and iPads using hardware a lot of users already have or can get at a very affordable price. Traditionally, in the live video space or video production space, there have been some options for wireless video on big expensive cameras. They use a protocol called RTSP. If you use a drone, that might also be an option for a way to send video. Switcher does not support RTSP. There is a method to manually connect cameras, so by default, as long as the app's open, it's normally really quick and easy and everything's going to show up automatically and you can get set up. If there's some weird network settings, you might have to manually connect a camera, and we have our own method to manage that process called RLCC. So RTSP, big cameras can send video wirelessly, but the challenge with this protocol is it's old. It's been around for a while. It's a great way to send video wirelessly over a network or via IP, but there's no extra data with that video. So if you have a multi-camera setup and all of your sources are doing RTSP, we can't guarantee that when you switch from camera 1 to camera 4 that they're going to match up. They're going to be a little bit off unless you have a really, really strong local network. But even then, it's not true synchronization. It's maybe just close enough that you don't really catch it. In some scenarios, you'll see a very significant delay from what's being sent from the camera to what happens in the video mixing software or the video switcher that you're using. There's other solutions on the market that use RTSP as a wireless video source, and the way they have to manage synchronization is to throw more RAM or memory at the problem. So each camera is building its own buffer in the switching software, and in a lot of cases, it's not automatic. You have to manually adjust the buffer on these cameras to try and get it closer to where it needs to be. So when you look at traditional systems where you're buying a $10,000 box for video switching, that's one of the reasons it's so expensive, is they have to throw a ton of RAM and other hardware pieces inside of these solutions to make them work. More processing power, more RAM, and we just don't have that on these iOS devices. So that's one of the really special things about Switcher, is that you can sync up to 9 cameras and know that they're all going to be in perfect sync, and it's almost real time. It's 200 milliseconds or 6 frames of delay from what's happening in the real world to what you see in the Switcher software. So you're able to do a production, take in the event, and do everything in real time. Whereas some of these other systems, you might have as much as a 30-second delay from what's actually happening in the room to what you see in your video switching software. So it would be possible with some engineering for us to support RTSP, but it's just not a good solution. It's not a good experience for our customers. The manual process for buffering and managing the synchronization, Switcher makes it really easy to sync cameras. And one of the ways that we have to manage that today is using iPhones and iPads and using our software and the special process that we've developed to do this. There's also some other benefits of the method Switcher uses for managing cameras, in that we can remotely control camera settings. So we can zoom a camera that's across the room from the main iPad, or just focus, exposure, white balance. These aren't things that would be possible with standard RTSP video. It's just dumping frames and sending them over the network. There's no two-way communication in a lot of cases. We are also able to trigger a recording on those remote cameras and pull that back over from camera 1, 2, 3, 4 back to your main iPad afterwards. So when we talk about director mode, this is a function in Switcher that allows you to stream at any quality for live video. So you don't have great bandwidth, but you still want to get the video out. You can lower the quality and still have a good production, but have a recording on all of your cameras that you can piece back together and upload later for on-demand playback, or take into post-production like Final Cut Pro and do additional editing. And so this is another added benefit of the way that Switcher manages wireless synchronization and being able to trigger cameras on remote devices and actually pull that video back into the main device to rebuild the composition. Full quality video, 1080p fixed frame rate video using Switcher in director mode. So we know this one's come up a lot, and Switcher is limited to iPhones and iPads today. We have a Mac screen sharing app. We're working on a Windows version that should be available for a public beta very soon. And we will be looking at other ways to bring in other camera sources, but we do have to be selective about that process. And if we're looking at integrating other hardware, other cameras, we need cooperation from those manufacturers to make sure that we don't break the product, and that workflow for director mode and remote camera management and adjusting camera settings and synchronizing all the devices automatically stays the way it is today and is a good experience for anyone using the product. So that was a deep dive. That was a lot of information. Maybe we can pull this one out, and that can be its own YouTube piece for people that are looking for this and want more information. But maybe one day we'll do drones.
Technical this week, didn't we?
Normally we save this kind of stuff for the user group, so that's a good place to get technical information. We try to keep it more broad here for these Wednesday broadcasts, talking about industry and strategy and some of the videos users are making. But this is one we've seen come up a lot recently, so just a little bit of a...
And it gives a little background on why we use iOS devices and not integrate with other camera pieces. We get the question like, why don't you support this, or this? And this is the this is the reason why. So it gives a little bit of background as to why we want to, we want to keep Switcher easy, and introducing other cameras and makes it harder because they manage things differently than we do.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from this. The most important piece is just understanding Switcher's not your regular video switcher, and we feel we're solving the problem in a different way than some of the other options on the market. And we have customers that are using traditional video switchers and big camera gear and still using Switcher for productions they normally wouldn't do because it is so mobile and because there's a small footprint using iPhones and iPads. So Switcher is a mobile-first solution, and we hope to support more cameras and sources in the future. But our biggest goal is to keep it easy and help people make better video.
So before we move into hashtag Made with Switcher, just a couple questions. Might be a little technical here too. Let me see, where was it? David was asking, is there a way to bring WebEx audio to the iPad? I didn't know what WebEx was, so I did a quick Google search while Nick was doing that. It sounds like it's a conference type tool, so like where people can call into. And I think the simplest
I think
answer...
the short answer for all of this is Switcher. You need to be running Switcher on another iPhone
Well,
or
I
iPad.
think if
And
they're
this
talking
is-
about bringing audio in from a
Yeah.
WebEx, then you would manage that like you would manage any other external audio.
Exactly. So,
Right?
yeah.
Okay.
So pretty much I'd say the simple answer is you're not going to be able to bring it directly into Switcher, but if you had a little mixer or something like that, run your audio through your little mixer first and then run it into the iPad through something like the little iRig we have here. And it's going to come in like a normal source.
And there's a whole deep dive on our YouTube channel and our knowledge
Yes.
base on audio. That's a whole nother monster for another time. But
And then one other question, which might be a question for our friends over at iOgrapher, but Jat was asking, do you know of a variable focus telephoto lens for use with an iPad Pro? Looking to like do sports and stuff like that.
Okay.
They're doing community soccer matches. So
yeah,
they've got the 10, iOgrapher has the 10X,
12X.
12X now? I thought
Do
it
they
was
still
10X.
carry that?
I think that's one that they are officially
Okay.
supporting.
Yeah,
So,
I know there was one that they stopped carrying
Yeah.
because it wasn't giving good.
So Dave
results,
Basulto can jump in the comments, call me out if we're wrong here, but iOgrapher, the case we're using here on one of our devices, is a really good way to mount iPhones and iPads to a tripod or get a good steady shot. If you don't have a tripod, they had worked with another accessory provider at one point where you could attach digital SLR lenses like you would see on a Nikon or a Canon, and you could use the physical depth of field, but there was a lot of setup configured, and if you didn't have it just right, you didn't get good results. So those are out there. They do work with Switcher. We have some settings in the master menu where you can get those working. But I think they stopped recommending that one for some of those reasons on the setup and configuration side. There's a new lens that they support. It's a 12x lens. It is a fixed lens, so you're
Yeah,
going
we're
to
looking
get,
for the variable
like,
ones. Is
wherever
kind
it
of
is.
the...
For sports or any Switcher production, because you're using iPhones and iPads, we really encourage you to get as close to the action as you can.
Yeah.
So traditionally with sports, you're going to see a camera set up in the bleachers or in the press box next to the play-by-play, about the play-by-play crew, and that's just how it's always been. You can do that with Switcher and still get really good results. You can get a little bit of zoom with these cameras using Switcher, but if you can get close to the action, especially with these being wireless and small and not annoying for people in the stands, just positioning your cameras closer to the field is going to get you better results. And
Yeah.
same thing if it's a conference or a music festival or a speaking engagement, proximity and getting your cameras positioned where the shot you see is the shot you want is going to give you a better product.
Well, and I'd say you can use the static lens, the 12x lens, and that would be okay as long as you had it pointed at where you assume things are going to happen.
Exactly.
So, I think...
Dave actually, we saw him at a conference recently. He gave a demo. We stepped outside. He put the 12x lens, and you could see this Navy ship across the bay. It was just incredible how much detail you could get and how far the throw was with this. So it's not something where you're going to be able to adjust and see things in between. But if there is something where you have a lot of ground to cover, it could be a really good solution.
One note about using those lenses, though, is that especially for something like a 12x, you're going to want to make sure that camera is steady.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the shake, if you have someone holding it, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, I would hate to know what it's like for these photographers that do National Geographic shoots or Discovery Channel videos where they're miles away and have these giant lenses pointed at lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Let's do one more question really quick. This is a simple one I think we can answer really quick, and then we'll go to our Made with Switcher section. But Fabian was asking, is there support for use with more than one Osmo Mobile? Yes, there are. The Osmo Mobile, I know, have they fixed the issues they were having yet?
We've got a small patch that's available in the current release, and they're making some bigger revisions that
Cool.
should be a more long-term fix for that. And so our next update, we hope to have that included.
Yeah,
But
so-
yes, you can use multiple Osmo.
Yeah.
mobiles.
Yeah, I would just check out our knowledge base. Just search the Osmo Mobile or Osmo, and you're gonna see. It's also on YouTube how to connect them, and that's a good
you
place
pair
to
it with
start.
each individual
Yes.
device.
With
Yeah.
Bluetooth, so it's
Yeah.
go right through.
And so, like with Switcher, you can use the Osmo Mobile to control the camera remotely. But the next thing we're going to share with you, they used gimbals not to remotely control things, but to get that really great smooth.
That's a good
shot.
transition
Yeah.
to our hashtag Made with
Ooh,
Switcher.
that's
Yeah.
smooth, double smooth transition.
Yeah.
This should be a
Oh,
song.
man.
So yeah, this week's Made with Switcher is actually from Honda in France. So
Yeah.
they were launching a new motorcycle, and they used Switcher to, kind of promote this new product that they
Well,
were
that-
releasing.
One of our users was consulting on the project, like,
Right,
helping with the
yeah.
production. But on
So what you're seeing here to the right there, I've kind of clipped this up a little bit and muted the audio. But yeah, you can see they had video in the beginning, and then they have, like, there's someone on the back of a motorcycle, and they've got the gimbal, and the shot's really smooth. And they're just cutting between videos. They added graphics. It was just a really good production.
They had a live
Yeah.
audience, and the just beautiful video. It was
Right.
really nice.
Yeah, we were watching it here for a little bit. The user, anyone in the user group has probably seen him. He might have commented a few times on the page. Thomas Dorlands. He's the one who's been working on the projects with Honda. We've been in contact with him a few times. So we're definitely excited to see what comes of this down the road, more events that Honda might be doing. And again, you guys are always more than welcome to share your videos as well. We show a different user video every week on the stream, so make sure to use the hashtag MadeWithSwitcher. You can also place that video in the user group. We're more than happy to check those videos out, and you guys will also have a chance to have your footage shown on one of our broadcasts.
rock on.
Rock on indeed.
Yeah, it's a really cool example and a good use of the gimbal without the direct integration. Just using it the way that they market the product and getting steady handheld shots.
I think that's about all the time we have for right now. So I guess it's time to say thank you, everyone, for watching.
We'll jump in the comments. If there's anything we didn't get to, we'll make sure that we follow up on that. Again, if you're not in the user group already, search Switcher Studio Enthusiast on Facebook.
It's also linked to our Switcher Studio page now.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a really cool place to be. And if you have questions, you can lean into the community. People are helping each other out, sharing their videos. So
Yeah, the people in the user group are great resources
Yeah.
if you have questions or want advice. It's been really cool to see that group grow.
I mean, I'd go as far as to say we've even gotten advice from there, or people have recommended
Yeah.
gear, and we're like, ooh, we need that. We're
Yeah.
gonna try that out. So it's even good for us.
all right, well, we'll see you next week
Yeah.
here on Stream Squad with Switcher Studio. That's 2:00 Eastern. Was that 11 Pacific? I
Yeah,
should know
11
my
Pacific
zones.
time.
we need a graphic that's all the time zones. I know we've got people that are, it's probably midnight where they are.
Yeah.
It's been really cool to see people from all over the world use Switcher and make video and share
I
that
did
with
see a
us,
comment come
so.
through from someone from Thailand. I think it
Wow.
was
Wow.
Man,
Yeah,
that's
so
so cool.
Yeah.
song from Thailand.
All
So-
right. Well, I guess this is our sign off,
Yep.
but thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye.